I'm going to keep these a lot shorter and a lot more simple for the next 2 months. And the reason being is because my husband and I are moving to North Carolina towards the end of April. We currently live in Pennsylvania. So it's kind of this crazy time right now where we have to find a place to live, get all this stuff moved. I have to find a new job. It's a whole thing right now. So I'm going to keep these very short and simple. I'm not going to have a fancy intro and outro this time. And I'm not going to be showing the shuffling part only because all of that takes a lot of editing time. And I just don't have the time to do that this month or next month. And also, I'm not going to be doing the paintings this time around or in April. I'll start that back up again in May once we get settled into our new place. Maybe even June at that point. And also, I mentioned this in my live reading that's up on here. I'm going to be changing the name of my business. I have not found a new name to really feel confident on just yet. But I will make an official announcement when the time comes, and I'll explain why I'm changing it then as well. Whew. But for the time being, you can go to my website, thecreativegypsy.net, if you would like a private reading. I will say that Mercury retrograde is going to be starting from March 22nd through April 15th. And I don't do private readings during Mercury retrograde only because I've done it before and it's very, very difficult for me to find the words that I need to explain the reading. I've done it in the past and it's just been a struggle. I'm a Gemini and we're ruled by Mercury, so I always have a difficult time during those times of the year. So, and I think that's it. So I shuffled and I laid out some cards here for you, Scorpio, and then we're just going to get right into it. Okay, here we go. So you actually ended up getting 5 cards this month. You guys have been getting pretty lucky in that way. The last couple months, you guys have been getting more cards than other signs have been getting. So it's kind of interesting. I think that's the Jupiter and Scorpio aspect that's going on between last October and up until this October. It's a very lucky time for you guys. I will say, though, that Jupiter is going retrograde at some point this month. I think it's in the middle, I think it's like March 18th or something like that. I'm not 100% sure, honestly. But Jupiter is going retrograde. And since it is in the sign of Scorpio, it's kind of like we're going a level deeper into our emotions and into the secrets. Like Scorpio is all about like the taboo, and like that's why like all these crazy secrets have been coming out in the media since last October. It's the Jupiter and Scorpio aspect, and now that we're retrograding, we're taking it a level deeper. So I think things are going to start to get a little bit more intense in the news, things like that. And then also just within our own lives, understanding things on a even deeper level within ourselves. So with that being said, let me get back to your reading. Sorry, I just went off a little bit there for you. Okay, so this is your layout, and I'm going to turn it around so you can actually see it from your perspective, the way that it's actually laid out. So we have the King of Cups upright, the Empress upright. We have the Emperor in reverse, this is very interesting, the Empress and the Emperor right next to each other. We have the Knight of Swords in reverse, and then the Five of Swords. Actually, this was in reverse. I apologize. The Five of Swords and the Knight of Swords are both in reverse, and they came out together when I was dealing them. So I feel like those are together. So this seems to be like a very significant month for you guys because we have some very strong cards here. King, you know, 2 major arcana cards, a knight, and then like 5 represents change in numerology, or just for me at least. That number to me means change. So we'll get into this in just a second. So we start out the month. When I see these 2 next to each other, I feel like I am isolating myself from others. And when I separate myself from others, I am able to tap in on a deeper level and get into this creative power within me. The Knight of Cups is very compassionate, very in touch with his feelings, very passionate, but also he's on this really small island. So, like, how is he going to rule his kingdom, like, when he's separated from it, you know? So that's something to consider. Like, how are you going to achieve this? What are you going to do with this creative energy if you are secluding yourself from the rest of the world? Okay. So this is just kind of like I just kind of feel the word isolation very strongly with this card for you guys. Isolated and really deep into my emotions here, as a way of tapping into my creativity and my personal power, like really being at the peak of creativity, or not at the peak, but just at like the beginning phases of something big and creative for myself. So like the Magician would be like the ideas planted into your head. The High Priestess is like you, like between the thought process and getting into actually putting it into action. And then the Empress is I'm putting this thought into action now. So it's like the beginning of creating what it is you've been thinking about for a while. So it's like the start of this important project. Whether it's, you know, it doesn't have to be like a tangible project, but it could be like self-improvement. It could be some kind of adventure you want to go on, like a vacation, or like like some goal that you're trying to reach for yourself. Just like at the beginning of stages of trying to make something specific happen for you. So you're in this mindset of ready to take on things, but also you've kind of separated yourself in order to get yourself into this energy. And because you've started it a little bit separated from others, we have the Emperor in reverse. So like this is the next phase in the major arcana. So it's like I'm ready to take action on whatever this project is. So now I'm going to lay the foundation and make the plans that I need in order to bring it into, or like the beginning. This is like the beginning steps of creating, creating the foundation and making sure that it's stable for it to be successful later down the line, for it to come out in the way that you want it to. But it's in reverse, so it's kind of like the foundation is not stable. The starting process is not where it needs to be, and also like I'm not willing to, like, because these are all individual, like, I don't see any other people helping you out here. It's kind of like, because this is in reverse, I'm not like, I'm being stubborn about my decisions to, in the way that I want to bring this about. I'm not listening to the advice of anybody else. I am trying to control the situation in a way that is not going to end up being beneficial for me. Very controlling, very dominating, not willing to hear any suggestions to make the foundation of this project work a little bit more effectively. So then, because we're getting into this stubborn, isolated, like, this is just my project and nobody else's energy, then we have the Knight of Swords. So, Knight of Swords, swords are related to communication. The Knight here, he's like ready to charge ahead and take on things, and, you know, feeling confident, ready to propose this project to others, feeling very confident, you know, mentally speaking. He's ready to keep, he wants to keep going. So in this mental state of, let's keep going with this. In reverse, it could be, I'm hesitating, having a mental hesitation, but I don't feel like that's what it is. I feel like I am not focused. I am not thinking clearly. I am trying to charge ahead without really thinking about the consequences of the beginning stages of, like, what it is I'm trying to do here. So it's like you're trying to create something for yourself on your own. And I feel like that's something very significant here, where you feel like you have to do this on your own in order to feel like you are successful at achieving this for yourself. It's like very significant about wanting to do this on your own. And because of that, it's like you're not really thinking clearly about the consequences of your actions. And that's where the Five of Swords comes in. So there is a potential to create some conflicts with other people in your life, because, you know, you're only focused on what it is that you're getting for yourself and not thinking about how it affects others. But it's in reverse, so I feel like this is, when we get here, or even here, I feel like this has already happened. And you're at this place now where you're like, I just want this kind of, to me, Five of Swords, Swords is communication, Five is change. So I kind of feel like this is a disagreement. Some kind of disagreement has happened, and I feel like when it's in reverse, it's like this fight has already happened, and you have come to this point where you just want it to be over with. Like, you just want it to be over. You know, the argument's already happened, and now it's like the aftermath of it, and like thinking about the consequences of your actions. But also, I don't think that you do know the consequences of your actions. You just want it to be over, so you're just going to say whatever it is that you need to say in order for these people to not be upset with you anymore. Although you're still not thinking about how your actions have affected them. You don't think that it's your fault. And this is interesting, is because it seems like this all starts to happen around Mercury retrograde. So, which makes perfect sense, because Mercury retrograde is when communication issues start to arise. And it's kind of like this energy where you are just not thinking things through clearly and you're just charging right ahead, acting without fully thinking. And that's why people say, like, don't sign contracts, don't, make big decisions for yourself, etc. And really it's you can do all these things. It's just that, pay attention to the fine print of the contract that you're signing, paying attention to the details of whatever it is that you're trying to create for yourself. And I feel like that's the message of this. In the beginning stages of whatever it is you're trying to create, it is important for you to really pay attention to the minor details of things, because it will benefit you greatly later on if you do so. If you ignore them, then it's going to come and bite you in the ass later in the month and into April. And it's also like it is very much in your head, and trying to talk your way out of situations, and it's not going to work out. It's just not going to happen. Like, and this is like, I feel like things just kind of fall apart before they even really get started here. So in order to avoid things starting to fall apart and creating drama, or if this argument has already happened and you've been ignoring them and trying to push ahead and do your own thing, like, that's not the way to go in life. It's not going to happen. You have to interact with people at some point in this process, whether you like it or not. And you have to be diplomatic in the way that you handle yourself. That's the only way you're going to gain the loyalty and the trust, and having people being willing to help you, create what it is that you want for yourself and be supportive of you. So I think really being cautious with your words from Mercury retrograde on between March 22nd and April 15th is very important. And like going back to the beginning of March and really getting into your heart center here, but not secluding yourself from others. I think that's what the message is here, is like, start this month by including others in what it is you want to achieve for yourself. I mean, obviously people that you trust, but don't be secretive. Oh, it's just very hard for Scorpio. Don't be secretive and withholding from people who may be willing to help you. So I'm just going to pull one card from the Nature's Whispers Oracle card deck, and then we're going to call it a day. So just being very cautious when you get to Mercury retrograde, and making sure that you really have the details figured out before we get to that time of the month. Pause. So I feel like this is saying, giving yourself time to really process what it is you're about to say before you say it. Giving yourself the time to really reflect on your actions before you take them. Giving yourself space to understand what it is that you want for yourself. But not creating so much space that you are creating a disconnect between yourself and others. Okay, Scorpio? So I would strongly recommend meditating this month. I think that this would help you very, very much, because I feel like this is very headstrong. Like, I want to push forward and I want to create something important for myself without any regards to how it affects anyone else. So if you start the month out by meditating, you are starting it from a place of compassion and love. And that will help to propel you forward in a more productive way by accepting help from others, by communicating more compassionately with others. And they, in turn, will be more willing to assist you, either now or in the future, if you ever need a favor from them. Like, don't take advantage of these people. Okay, Scorpio, I hope that you enjoyed this message for the month of March.